All right. So before we get into the podcast, I just want to drop 2 quick ads and pay the bills. My name is Chio Dogu. I run a digital marketing agency based right here in the GTA. We do everything from helping clients launch podcasts, getting entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and speakers booked on podcasts as celebrity guests, creating lead generation campaigns for local businesses using Facebook ads, Instagram ads, LinkedIn ads, and YouTube ads. We also create landing pages and online funnels to help local businesses, entrepreneurs, and big businesses turn clicks into customers. If you're struggling to generate leads and grow your business, hit me up at info@odogwu.com, or you can get on my website at www.odogwu.com. That's www.odogwu.com. I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know what you're thinking. And with that said, let's get on with the show. Hey guys, welcome to another exciting episode of the GTA Business Titans podcast. My guest today is Ashe Woodward. Ashe is the founder of YOLOPALOOZA. It's a hip annual trade show for Toronto-based entrepreneurs. When she's not running YOLOPALOOZA, she also runs a monthly mentorship program that is titled LOOZER Lab, where entrepreneurs come together to share their business ideas, experiences, and help each other grow and work out the bugs in their own businesses. In addition to that, Ashe also does business training for ESL students. So basically teaching ESL students how to negotiate the business landscape, given that they're just picking up English as a second language. So she teaches them how to dive into the business world and adapt their English skills so that they can be fully equipped to operate in an international business environment. So I'm pleased to have Ashe on the show today to come tell us a little bit about herself, her business experience, her background, and of course, some of her favorite things to do and the resources she wants to share in the GTA. So with that said, Ashe, welcome to the show.
Hello, and thank you. That was a great introduction. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did it all get started? What's your background?
How did it all get started? Oh my gosh, okay, where do I start? Let's see. Well, I mean, right now, yes, I am teaching business ESL. So I guess a lot of it started there. I mean, I was kind of averse to the business world before I started teaching. I actually, even when I started teaching, I told my boss, I still remember this. I told my boss, I will teach anything except that business course you guys have. I told him explicitly, I don't want anything to do with business. I just thought it was so boring, which is kind of an embarrassing thing to say now, but true. And then funny thing happened was on my way to, when I went back to university, and one of my ideas was to kind of strengthen my mind, because I knew that what I was going for, which was medieval literature, which is totally off the path, but I knew I'd have to have really great memory skills. And so I was looking for something that would really help me boost my memory, and I found hypnosis.
Okay.
I know this is going down a windy path, as I'm sure a lot of people's paths do, but I promise it's coming somewhere. So I took this hypnosis course. And again, the very last day of this course, they said, we're going to talk about how to make hypnosis into a business. And again, I rolled my eyes. I'm like, oh, I don't want anything to do with business. But I was also so super curious, and I didn't want to miss anything. So I showed up on that last day. And then honestly, by the end of that day, I was hooked. I had my website, I had my business name, I was raring to go. I was so excited to start a business with hypnosis. And I did. I called a friend immediately. I said, could I rent a room at your massage studio? And it went from there. And then I started really getting into business and having to pay attention to marketing. And then I went back to my boss and I said, you know what? I think I might be into teaching that business course. And I started teaching the course, and I actually learned from the textbooks I was teaching, and just began to fall in love with it. I began to fall in love with the people who do business and the creativity that can come out of it. And how you can really expand within your business, growing yourself, growing your community, and just, there's a lot more to it than I was really open to. So it's a good thing I opened my mind to it, because it's exploded and completely changed my life.
Man, that is another interesting story. because on the one hand, I know you had the path you wanted to follow. With nobody goes to study English medieval literature without
Yes.
planning to either write another Game of Thrones or something like that. but you go in there, you then take hypnosis classes, and then so I guess the next question would be, so what? I'm very curious. So starting the hypnosis business, how does one start a hypnosis business, or what do you sell, or what do you do as a hypnotist?
Okay, so I took that training really to do hypnosis on myself, because as I said, I wanted to improve my memory. I also wanted to, make sure that I had good focus skills, because part of medieval lit program, I'd have to learn Latin. And so I was really trying to use my subconscious as a way to also learn languages.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of the intrigue for me. And then, as I said, with the course, they teach you how to do hypnosis on other people. Mm-hmm. And then it just became so interesting. It was helping people with basically everything. Of course, that your habits control, from losing weight to getting better sleep to getting over your fears in public speaking. Anything you can think of that's a bad habit, hypnosis can help you be free of. And that was just completely fascinating. So as I said, I went to my friend and rented some space, thought, let's see how this goes. She has clients that maybe she could refer to me. And so I just set up an office, and that's basically what happened. Was I put up, my little bio, and people were into it, from everything, as I said, from weight loss, quitting smoking, and more. And it was around the time when everybody says was a terrible time to start a business. So around 2008. Mm-hmm. So we had that economic crisis. So a lot of my clients were coming to me for things like confidence boosting after losing jobs. Mm-hmm. Again, getting over public speaking, because they would have to up their game, up their public speaking skills, meeting skills, maybe job interview skills. Yeah. And so there was a lot of that happening, of course, because people were being shifted around and being laid off and trying to find something new. So there was this pattern forming. So I eventually kind of saw that, and my hypnosis practice turned more into hypnosis and also a little bit of coaching. So helping people and doing a little research for them, kind of finding them different resources that could help them out. And again, that was kind of where like the business thing kind of started to click. And I was like, I kind of like this idea of helping people, finding those resources and connecting them with other people and other networks that are going to help them get back on their feet. So that's kind of how that started to grow. Yeah.
Wow. Fascinating stuff.
Funny how things just fall into place so randomly, but that is what happened.
Yeah, because I mean, you have to look at it that, serendipity plays a big role in life, regardless of what people think, because sometimes you can just stumble, like you were just anti-business until you serendipitously fell into business, and then you found out that that's where it's your sweet spot, and that's what you want to spend the rest of your life doing. That's pretty awesome. So you do that for a little bit, you're helping people, coaching people, and then what happens? What leads you to YOLOPALOOZA?
Oh, well, then I decide that my business is kind of taking up too much of my time, and do I want to still do that, or do I actually want to go back to school, which was the original plan? And I still had a desire to go for that original plan. So I had to kind of shut down my doors, go back to school, get back into applying for grad school. Long story short, basically, I did not get into grad school a couple times after trying, and I ended up kind of going through a big whole rethink of everything. So this plan that I had going towards academia for, I guess it was more than 10 years, was failed. And it was just not going to happen. And so I had to really ask myself, well, what the heck do I do? I mean, I could go back to hypnosis, but it didn't really feel that was exactly it. Yeah. And so it came down to me kind of coaching myself into saying, okay, so what is it about this plan that you were in love with? What exactly are those pieces that you're looking for? And for me, it came down to writing and researching. And so luckily I was smart enough to tell myself, you don't have to be a professor of medieval literature to write and do research. You can do that anywhere. So I Googled how to be a writer, and Google said, get a blog, because it's, 2010. So do that.
Yeah.
So I got a blog and I started writing basically about how angry I was at the universe because I had used hypnosis and I'd used the law of attraction and I'd used all these like techniques I had learned through self-help and self-growth and still hadn't got what I wanted. So I was trying to figure that out. And so I started writing little weekly blogs about what I was figuring out.
Yeah.
And basically talking about it from a perspective of being 30 years old and feeling like my life is over at 30, or my life is basically at a crossroads, or I'm starting over at 30.
Yeah.
And so I started writing a blog on that. And from that, I started getting friends kind of referring people to me. And I ended up having these chats with people that had questions and were in the same spot as I was. And then I kind of realized after a while, I was coaching again. I just kind of into coaching once again with the same kind of people, really, people starting over and people in their 30s looking for something else, that were upping their skills and wanting to be connected to something. And there I was, and I go, okay, this is happening again. I think this is, kind of what I'm supposed to do. And I started a coaching business based on that. From there, I wanted clients. So I started a couple meetup groups for 30-somethings. And from the meetup groups, because I was seeing so many things that people were interested in, like different activities, but I wasn't really getting the people coming out to them in the biggest numbers that I wanted.
Yeah.
Basically, it went from small events in meetup to thinking, I want to do a really big event and blow the roof off this place. And I want to have amazing activities and things for people to check out, look at in one spot. And that was basically the basis or the impetus of YOLOPALOOZA.
Oh, awesome. So again, you started small, you started coaching. Now, the one thing with a coaching business, that a lot of people are scared to start and try is that they feel they need to have credentials. They need to be some big name published in some, Wall Street Journal, or have a best-selling book or something like that, before they can hang out their shingle and say they're a coach. But you've been able to effortlessly try this twice and get clients and help clients. So speak to people that are trying to start some type of service business, especially in the coaching and consulting space. How did you, I know you said, friends came and they referred people, but, in terms of like growing it, if you had to start all over again and nobody, no networks, how would you start marketing, advertising yourself and building that coaching practice so that you can start getting clients? Because I know a lot of people struggle with this, but this is also a big industry that a lot of people can help other people struggling with problems.
Wow. It's such a big question, because I think there's so many people in the coaching industry now, and you have to be careful. I mean, like you said, you don't have to have, incredible credentials, but you do have to have something. You do have to have something that people want. You have to have either the experience or a very specific insight. And that comes down to, I think, if you follow any kind of business advice, it's really finding your niche, kind of narrowing down where you can help people the most. So, of course, we want to start our business and we want to help everybody. That's beautiful and that's wonderful, but that really, it's a hard sell. It really is, because then not only are people not going to find you as easily, but you're not going to find them. You don't really know who you're looking for. And that can be really stressful. Like when you go to, let's say, a networking event and you're just telling everybody about yourself, and it comes off kind of desperate. When you're able to narrow down what you're really interested in and how you really do help people, it takes the pressure off. And I think that comes out in kind of how you present yourself. So that's kind of the start of it, is really like, I seemed to find or come across my niche very easily because it was my experience. It was my pain point. It was my own pain point. And so I had experience in that. So I would say draw upon that as much as you can. Yeah. And then as far as, credentials, you still have to do a little homework. You can't just go into this and say, I was there, so now I can help you. You really should be, doing your homework. You can do online courses. There are, tons of books that you should be reading. But, after that, it's about really showing what you can do. So once you have that background, I think not only will you have a little bit of knowledge, you'll have the confidence to show people that. But it's not easy. It's not easy to find clients in coaching. And I think a lot of people are getting frustrated. So it's not the only thing that I do. It couldn't be the only thing that I do, which is why I had to expand and grow and find a way to kind of bring this to not just bring it to more people, but to do something a little bit bigger that really could expand my own skill set, Yeah. And with YOLOPALOOZA, I've just, I've been able to do so many things with my creativity. And then, the result of that is that it helps people do those things that I know how to do.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about YOLOPALOOZA itself. You've talked about the formation of YOLOPALOOZA, but for somebody that's listening to this show and they don't know what a YOLOPALOOZA is, break it down for us in terms of, what it is, when it is, what does it aim to accomplish, why is it in existence?
Sure. Well, YOLO means you only live once, if you're hip to that term. And the idea behind that, like the naming behind it as well, is that fact of, business owners, entrepreneurs are pretty gutsy and have to be gutsy people and risk takers. And so YOLOPALOOZA, in my mind, is really a celebration of that. It's a celebration of a business owner really sticking to his or her guns and going for it, because it's not easy to, it's great to have ideas and everybody can have, these product ideas or business ideas, but to actually go through with it and actually stick with something through the challenges, through the struggles, through the I don't knows, through the fear, through the doubt, it's a really big deal. Yeah. So it's a celebration of that first and foremost. So we really like to work with brands who have an interesting backstory and can really be open about their origin story and can kind of share something with not just the attendees at the event, but our larger community, which is full of these entrepreneurs that are also trying to start something and get inspiration from people who've gone before them, especially in Toronto, right? Because we are a Toronto-based event, so it's kind of showing people what's possible here. Yeah. So we're a trade show. But I mean, that's not my favorite word for it, but it's really the only word that exists for it. Yeah. So hip, funky trade show.
Or would you call it like a entrepreneur festival? I don't want to even use festival, but
but it is more of that. It is more of a festival / conference / trade show / networking event. All of those things, because we do have the booths set up with our entrepreneurs, but we also have speakers and we have local bands that are there as well. And the thing about a trade show, if I may, is that we tend to go to trade shows and look around. It's kind of like window shopping and pass by people. What we really try to enforce at YOLOPALOOZA is that you speak to the vendors. So it's not just about buying the product, and that is a big part of it, but it's also about connecting with the vendors, hearing that story that they're willing to share, and hearing how this got started, and finding out how that might connect to you and inspiring you to also maybe start your business in the future. So we really encourage the attendees to, stop at each booth and talk to vendors that you seem to connect with and learn a little something about who they are, where they're coming from, and what that can really mean to you. So, yeah.
Cool. Another thing I've noticed about attending trade shows from my perspective is that, after the trade show, you've met a lot of people, you've gotten a lot of business cards, but the follow-up system or the relationship building, if you were, is not that strong after the event. And a lot of the time people say, oh, they got overwhelmed, they forgot who's who, and they really only wanted to talk to one or two people, and they just got, once the ball got rolling, they got all these business cards and they have no idea what to do with them. So how does YOLOPALOOZA make it easy for people to actually sustain the relationships they've established once the event has held and carry that on to the next year?
Yes, I love that question. So important. And also, I'll come back to that, but I want to say too, we also really want to strengthen that relationship before the event. Okay. So once you're kind of part of our community, which is easy, it's just our newsletter and, checking us out on Instagram and following us there, but you'll start to get to know the vendors. So you'll start to see the interviews with the people. You'll start to see a little bit of background about their brand in our newsletters coming out. And then you could come out to Loser Labs, which they're going to be there and attending and sharing, some of their wisdom at some of the events. And then before YOLOPALOOZA, so in September, about 2 weeks before YOLOPALOOZA, we do an event called Hello YOLO. And this is for any of the people that want to meet the vendors beforehand. And it's also for our vendors themselves that are going to be part of YOLOPALOOZA to meet each other. Because I also find at Tradeshow, you have all these people, you're there together, and you have so much in common. Like, the biggest thing is you all decided this was perfect for your business. So why wouldn't you want to share with those same people that are on the same level as you? So we provide this event so that vendors can meet each other and share, and also that day of the event can say, oh, once they meet maybe an attendee that's looking for something, oh, go see my friend Cher in the corner. She's working on this project. I think you'd really enjoy her brand, and you really got to hear her story. And then that way the vendors are able to cross help each other. It becomes, like I said, it's more than a trade show. It is a networking, connecting event where people are really sharing ideas. So beforehand is really important to us as well. And then after the event, same thing, we keep in touch with our vendors. We keep our audience informed about what they're doing and anything that comes after YOLOPALOOZA. This year we have a surprise. I'm not about to reveal it quite yet, but we have an amazing way for people to keep tabs on not just the brands and their stories, but actually the very specific products that you're going to see at YOLOPALOOZA, and the very specific services and just wonderful things that you're going to be able to look at and hold at YOLOPALOOZA. So a little bit of suspense there, but I'm not about to spill the beans quite yet.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah. That's fair enough. At least it helps. So anybody listening out there, if you're listening to this before YOLOPALOOZA launches, then you have something to look forward to, because she's giving you a little bit of bait to go sign up.
Come sign up. Yeah,
so that sounds great. So now let's transition a little bit away from what you've done, the business, to the local GTA area in terms of building a business. So what has helped you build your business in the GTA? What resources have you leveraged and relied on to help grow YOLOPALOOZA to what it is today?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, I do have to thank Meetup. Meetup helped me to start, getting into events and meeting other entrepreneurs, and just meeting other people, expanding my circle, because, we said I was a teacher. And so a lot of my friends are teachers. Teachers are wonderful, but teachers are business people to help you connect with people. So from Meetup, designing my own Meetup, but also going to Meetups. There are some amazing Meetup groups in Toronto that are for just entrepreneurs and for people into expanding their business and networking. There's some really great groups out there to check out. So Meetup was definitely where I kind of got started. And it's where I really got practice networking. It's where I got better at networking, because it was easy, right? Meetup groups tend to be a little less formal. And so it's a lot easier to practice your elevator pitch and meeting people and just kind of getting used to walking into a room that you're not familiar with. So I'd say, that was a great place to start. beyond that, I had an amazing business coach, Lindsay Johnson of the Radical Connector. You should check her out.
Oh, wow.
She is where I got started, and she does events and connects people. And she was just a big part in helping me there. Recently, though, I have to say, I went to an amazing event from LinkedIn and Bobby Umar. And those events, you can probably Google and find those. But LinkedIn is doing some pretty cool stuff. And I went to an event that was all about LinkedIn video and with some influencers. And that was really cool. So there are amazing events to find. Oh, and one of my, well, I'd like to say my competition. I don't know if they're our competition because I kind of love them like a partner. And if I can say this on your podcast, but Fuck Up Nights. If you haven't heard of Fuck Up Nights, oh my God.
I've heard of it, but I've never attended one. I used to
my gosh.
have a friend go to the one in Israel, and he always used to tell me about it.
They are great. They are great. So yeah, they're an international event. They're all over the place. Started in Mexico City. So interesting. And just, it's amazing to hear the stories, of course, celebrating failure, which I love. It's amazing to hear the stories, but it's also an amazing event. You're going to meet people like you that are entrepreneurs in the city doing amazing things. And it's just a really good time. And it's just an interesting event to kind of change things up. So yeah, it's kind of like Loser Labs in a way, celebrating failure and struggles and challenges. So, but I'll still, I think it's an amazing event and it's great to have here in Toronto.
Awesome. And in terms of, social things to do, what you enjoy doing in Toronto and in the GTA, what are some of your favorite hotspots, bars, nightclubs, even...
Oh, man, the bars and nightclubs, I know it probably closed down by now, but okay.
Yeah, restaurants, whatever, rooftop bars, whatever it is you go to or utilize to relax, have fun, and something that we can tell people that are listening that want to enjoy Toronto as a native and not necessarily go straight to all the tourist places that you're told to go to.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Okay, well, one of my favorite things to do on the weekend would be to go to Brickworks. So, have you heard of Brickworks?
No,
do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
So, if you go to Broadview Station, you take a little shuttle bus. It goes down into the valley. You can kind of see the valley from if you're taking the Green Line. It's what you see when you go over the bridge. So it's an old brick factory, but it's transformed into this, it's a weekend market. I think it's Sundays. They'll have food and like vegetables and fruit, but also pre-made food and alcohol sometimes. There's clothes and jewelry and just a little like pop-up market kind of idea. Mm-hmm. But in behind, they also have a trail that connects from Broadview all the way to Davisville that you can walk all year round. I've walked it in summer, spring, and winter. You can cross-country ski. You can do those snow bike things. It's just incredible. And then the actual place itself, there's a cafe. There's shopping for like really unique gifts. And I'm not sure if they're still doing this. They closed it down this year for one point, but it should be coming back. They have a small ice rink in the wintertime. Okay. So you can go in there and get your hot chocolate and then go for a skate and then walk the trail. So that's one of my favorite things to do because I think it's something that makes Toronto so unique is that we have so many parks and so much green space in our city. So it's great to take advantage of that. I love the beach. I live in the East End, so the beach is always where I'm going with my dogs. I love Queen Street, west and east for good shopping.
I've only been to Queen Street west. I've not been east.
East is the beach. It's a little more low key. You're going to see a lot more dogs and families, but there's some really good, eating. I love brunch at Vivitha. Uh-huh. So almost at Victoria Park, but that's a really good brunch spot.
Yeah.
And just it's a good walk. It's just a nice walk on a Sunday afternoon. And favorite bars, restaurants. I really love Mambo. Mambo is on the Danforth at Broadview. Broadview again. Sounds like I spend a lot of time at Broadview. Broadview and Danforth, Mambo. It's Cuban food, but they do kind of like a tapas feel. Okay. And sometimes if you're lucky, there's going to be classical guitar on the patio in the back. And it's just incredible. It's just, you feel like you're in another world, and it's a beautiful spot.
Yeah. Awesome. I think you've overloaded the listeners with a lot of cool places to check out.
Good, yeah.
So as we start to wind down this, I beg your pardon. As we start to wind down the show, Asha, my last question for you is, as an entrepreneur, we all struggle with something or the other in terms of growing our business or personally. So tell us a little bit more about, something you struggled with in terms of building your business, and how have you overcome that struggle or that challenge to improve yourself as well as strengthen your business?
Ooh. That's funny. I was actually talking about this earlier today, and I have a very strange answer. I hope your listeners are kind of open to this.
No, sure.
I was thinking about the fact that entrepreneurs wear so many hats. In our businesses, we are, especially at the beginning, a lot of people say, oh, if I just had a team, this would be so easy. And yes, of course it would be, but that's going to come a lot later. So before you have that amazing team, yes, you are going to wear the hats. You're going to be the marketer. You're the PR person. You're the designer. You're the financial advisor, if you like. So one thing that I've kind of done, and it's kind of, again, it sounds a little bit strange, but when I think about doing all of those different jobs, I actually imagine them as different people. Okay. So I've started kind of thinking of like naming each of these jobs as like a person. And I'm thinking of like, okay, so my financial person, I'm going to decide that's Mary. Okay, so Mary does all my financial stuff, and I kind of see what Mary does. And I kind of put my head into the space of like everything that I do financially. And it's just a way of kind of putting into different boxes or compartments how much I'm doing on the financial side. And then I'll think about, let's say, Daniel. Daniel is my designer. Daniel does all of my ads for Facebook, and Daniel does all my ads for things on Canva or whatever I'm designing to kind of do advertising as we go up to the event. And I start to think about how much Daniel is doing. And the reason I'm doing this, one of the benefits of this is I'm just kind of seeing not only how much each thing is taking up as far as time management, which is important, but it also helps me remember how many things I'm doing and that I need to give myself a break.
Yeah.
So when I kind of see, I'm doing a lot of Mary's job and Daniel's job and Asha's job today, okay, you know what? I kind of feel like I can give myself a break, and I'm not going to go to, let's say, that extra networking event tonight because I've actually done the job of 3 people.
Yes.
And so it's just a way of, in my imagination, it helps me really kind of clarify, again, how much I'm doing, what I'm doing. And also it kind of gives me an idea for the future of how many people that, I can dream about hiring and how amazing that's going to be.
No, I mean, it's actually...
Yeah, it's a little unconventional, I know, but it's just something that's occurred to me in like the last couple of weeks, and just kind of compartmentalizing them as people has really kind of given me another way to look at things.
Yeah, no, it's a very good idea, because I read somewhere, I forget which book I read it, but essentially what the person was talking about was that when you start and you're an entrepreneur and it's just you need to realize that you need to create an organizational chart. So you create a box that says you're the CEO, and then you break down all the little functions, and then you go from there. So that way you know that when the time comes and you're scaling up and you're growing, you've created maybe systems and processes for each functional unit, like your HR, your process to hire, onboard somebody, your marketing, the same thing. So that way, when you start replacing yourself, you know that, yes, you understand what that function is about, and you can step in should that person go away. But that person coming in also knows what you've done, and they can follow up and then expand from where you are. So that way, it's not like they're coming in cold to start anything new, because the tendency for a lot of entrepreneurs is to get somebody on board And if that person starts something and they leave, you don't know what to do. You're stuck. So it's better for you to start it and then give them a blueprint and let them expand on that than to have somebody come cold and start and you not know what they're doing. So
exactly. Sounds wonderful. And, then I also start thinking, once you kind of see things in that more compartmentalized way, then once you maybe see that one of those boxes is doing too much and really is kind of overshadowing the job that you want to do. So if I said, there's just too much of my time is going into my designing and marketing, which it is, by the way. And that's kind of taking away from me connecting to my clients. Then I have to look at, what? I might have to take this fictional person and turn it into a real person. Maybe it is time to really outsource that job to take off some of the load because it's just time. And so investing in somebody and investing in the time it takes to train a person is actually going to be more productive for me in the long run. And so it's just kind of a good head start to seeing that.
Great. And with that said, Asha, we've reached the end of the show. It's really been fun talking to you for the past half hour or so, learning more about you and YOLOPALOOZA and Loser Labs and everything else you're doing. But before I let you go, tell us a little bit more about where people can find you, get to know more about you, get some information about YOLOPALOOZA and Loser Labs and everything else you're doing.
Sure. I think the best place is Instagram. We're all over Instagram. So we are at YOLOPALOOZA. So YOLO, PALOOZA. And then from there, you can get linked to YOLOPALOOZA.com. And that's where you can find everything from the blog to getting tickets and to becoming a brand yourself at YOLOPALOOZA in September.
Awesome. And I'll be sure to link to all that in the show notes once this episode is ready to go live. So, Asha, thanks a lot for coming to share your story. I truly appreciate you taking the time. It's been a blast learning from you.
Wonderful. It's been fun. Thanks for having me.
Great. Awesome. That's it, people. Another fantastic episode of the GTA Business Titans podcast. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast today and got some great info out of it, don't be stingy. Share with a friend and leave a review on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, or wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. Also, if you need any help with your online marketing needs, feel free to reach out to me at www.odogwu.com. That's www.odogwu.com. Or you can email me on info at odogwu.com. Or you just hit me up on this GTA Business Titles podcast website and I'll be sure to respond to you. We help local businesses get more leads and sales from the internet using tools like Facebook advertising, Instagram ads, landing pages, website creation, online funnels, and so much more. So if you want to turn clicks into customers, there's only one name to call in the GTA, and that's Chiodogwu at www.odogwu.com. Till next time, guys. Be a titan, be great, make something great happen in your life today. Bye.